Yeah, REWAD shit, REWAD stuff, REWAD live, that is. So we're just out here observing the warning signs that nobody talks about, right, from this man right here. It's a psychological analogy, right, of a murderer. Like literally, there's no other way to just like put it, right? It's by my boy Jay Wisdom right here. And yes, I know a whole lot of people, you know, maybe fixated on like the whole, and look, I wouldn't even blame anybody being fixated on this man's deeds, right? Do your homework. If you know, you know, bro. It's like really dark stuff that went on. It's really easy to be fixated on all of that. You're like, yeah, he deserves what he deserves, like for real, you know what I mean? I think he is locked up right now for what he did, murder, in the worst way, chopping up body parts, things like that, you know what I mean, putting it in his Tesla, and you know, all of that was found out. It's really gory situations. But in this segment, right, let's go ahead and allow ourselves to see, you know, the psychological analysis aspect of things, right, as to like why, like how did this seemingly decent looking human, right, how was it that he was literally actually the anti-human that he ended up just like proving that he really was, though?
Addicted to video games, but being stands his peers.
Yeah.
And that's going to be significant when evaluating his later relational behavior.
Okay.
So he was chronically online, seemingly addicted to video games,
Yep.
but being home alone that much allowed him to stumble across much worse vices.
Right.
Later, in his own Discord server, David disclosed a
What the hell is going on here? Let me see this. What? This was Discord? Look at this, dog. Or live leak was bookmark. Desensitized mice. Wow. Damn it.
same pattern of consuming gore content
Yeah.
beginning at approximately 14 years old, following the accidental exposure to a cartel execution video. Gore is real-world violence and injury, fully uncensored, including death and murder, and he was discovering that and watching it repeatedly at 14 years old. He describes a progression from initial shock response to habituation, saying, "It got to the point where I don't even cringe when I see it anymore," to then developing a dissociative response, claiming he started laughing at one point, but then escalated to deliberate intentional use. "I watch gore to disconnect the part of my brain that feels empathy to the wrong things."
Bro, that's real, gang. That's really a real thing, bro. Fuck. You know, this kind of thing can blow you away when, especially when you've been a human being that like is so new to you, right? It's like, bro, gore, bro. Hey, let me admit, bro, there is a pocket of people that just like, or like, you know what I'm saying, like at first sight, you know what I'm saying, like their minds be, you know, they get fucked up from like corn, you know what I'm saying, PORN, you know. That's like, do y'all think the effects are the same though? Right? I mean, okay, look, man, both of these things are like degenerate, like they have degenerate results, you know what I'm saying, just by nature they give degenerate long-term results. May have long-term degenerate effects, you know what I'm saying. Gore versus corn. But would y'all equate those in the same thing? Because like, look, okay, I know a whole bunch of people that like, and I've heard a whole bunch of testimonies of people be like, yo, I bumped into, you know, explicit adult content, like in terms of SE-actual type of things, right? Explicit this, then the third, and that's why maybe I have like this vice of like crack, you know, trying to crack everything that walks, like, or whatever the case. SE actually, that is, right? But then, yo, I guess this is a reality too. Like this, I've never, oh my I can't even talk straight about it, man. This is crazy, bro. I've never heard of this ever, dog. Like people like at a young age desensitizing yourself to gore. But then again, this why I was like paralleling with like the corn, right? The PORN. It's like people desensitize themselves, their bodies, to like sexual engagement and energy from a young age too. So, you know, by the time that they're adults, the thing has to be extreme for them to just like get a kick out of it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a similar situation with the gore. Even saying that shit out loud is like, damn, bro, damn.
We have something called an
This nigga was talking about to the point where he would laugh watching gore.
amygdala, which generates the brain's threat and disgust response to violence. Repeated exposure to graphic stimuli triggers habituation and desensitization. In simpler words, the threshold for what makes the brain want to cringe and look away rises because the stimulus is no longer threatening due to seeing it so much. What David describes in his Discord is consistent with this process in adolescents, whose prefrontal regulatory systems are still maturing and therefore less equipped to contextualize and contain the desensitizing effect. But what distinguishes David's disclosure from typical adolescent experimentation is that last part. He doesn't describe watching gore for entertainment or shock value. He describes it as an emotional engineering exercise, a deliberate attempt to modify his own empathic response. This level of intentionality about emotional desensitization in a 14-year-old is far from typical and represents a significant clinical signal. This would have been a major warning sign and red flag that David was gaining the ability to care less about human life. During that same isolated period, David developed an elaborate alter ego he called Itami,
I heard of
Japanese word meaning pain.
I have this alter ego named Itami, which means pain in Japanese, and I'm heavily inspired by like anime and stuff like that. But that character that's in the music videos I make now was actually an idea that I had years before music even started, when I was writing my first comic book. And it was this detective that would solve his own crimes. So he was the good guy by day, and then at night he'd kind of transform into this alter ego and then commit crimes he'd solved the morning of.
But Itami isn't this artistic, creative concept he's come up with. David described it in multiple interviews as a character he intended to develop into his own manga, one who was explicitly him, a detective who committed
Hold on, what's a manga? What is a freaking manga? Is that a story? Wait, hold on. What's a manga in like the context of the thing, right? Your co-pilot, what is a manga within the context of anime?
In the context of anime, a manga is essentially a Japanese comic or graphic novel that serves as the source material for many anime series.
Oh, so he was trying to like start his own manga type thing going on. Man, come on, bro. It's like
murders and then investigate.
Cause the thing is, man, it's like degenerate psychological development, bro. I don't know whether that is the prerequisite for like maybe somebody who turns into like a dark, you know, some like a serial killer or some shit like that, right? I don't know if you know, things like this, things like maybe a creative mind and a imaginatively rich mind is a prerequisite of that, or just, you know what I'm saying, just having a creative mind has you being susceptible to intrusive ideas where, you know, where like your imaginative nature just like makes you more sensitive to these intrusive ideas of like, yo, let's murder some shit, let's kill some shit, you know what I'm saying, let's be degenerates at this level. It's like, man, I ain't gonna lie, that's part of the reason why I'm at this video. Like, I'm trying to find that out low-key.
them himself.
Big part of that manga was an evil version of me, an agent of chaos, and kind of my alter ego. And there was an evil version of myself that would kind of come out at random moments, kind of like Fight Club with Tyler Durden. And he would commit the crimes that I would have to solve as the detective. So like when I was as the detective, I'd be like solving murders that I'm committing myself.
Understand that there's a difference.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me try and break it down with my own ignorant mind, right? This little question that I had, like, is you having an imagination a prerequisite? No, is you having this sort of imagination? Wait, what happened? Something disconnected with my shit. 1 2 1 2. Okay, we still clear, right? So I'm saying, is you having this imagination a result No, is you being a serial killer, for example, a result of you having this kind of imagination? Or is you having this imagination, the imagination that had like super creative, super imaginative, and just super, just, you know what I'm saying, disconnected to just maybe human reality? You know what I'm saying? Your own imagination is your reality. I'm talking that type of like imaginative mind. Does that, you know, is that the reason? I don't know what's going on in my throat, bro. Like some just gooey going on. It's crazy. TMI? Is it TMI? Okay, my bad. No, I was just, what was I even asking? Yo, is, right? You end up being a serial killer. Is it because you have this kind of imagination? Meaning, this kind of imagination can latch on to whatever concept because it's so imaginative, and it can make whatever concept like really attractive to you, even like dark, you know, fantasies. Those can be attractive to you too, right? Or is it a matter of, because you have this sort of imagination, because you have this sort of like mind, right? you are the type of person who is more open to intrusive thoughts that may, you know, influence your imagination to be on some dark shit, right? So that was the question that I was asking. I feel like it kind of answered me right quick here. Let me just like quickly get to that answer right quick so I can make it clear for everybody right quick.
I'd be like solving murders that I'm committing myself.
That I'm committing myself.
Understand that there's a
Solving murder and crimes. So in his head, he's putting himself in that sort of like, oh my god, y'all niggas blacked out on me again, bro. Just like, just freaking, y'all just, I don't even know what to tell you at this point. But yeah, bro, I feel like he just like traveled and bumped into spaces that he was not supposed to bump into, because that would literally damage how his imagination works, or you know, how then his psyche then develops because of this kind of imagination. Did I make sense there? No? Huh. This is just so interesting. Crazy.
difference between normal fantasy and what David's doing.
Yeah.
We all might fantasize here and there, maybe about obtaining a certain level of wealth, or driving a certain car, or whatever you guys care about. Escapist fantasy uses fictional scenarios to temporarily relieve stress and provide alternative experience. The psychological concept of fantasy elaboration, however, involves constructing increasingly detailed, immersive internal worlds in which the individual places themselves, not a character, but themselves, and which begin to function as a parallel framework for understanding identity and relationships. David explicitly inserted himself into this narrative. He is not the author of Itami. He's Itami's counterpart. They share an existence. He later described Itami as
the one that is weaving his way into my relationships and ruining them and inducing trauma and things like that.
This language suggests that the alter ego had become a psychological container for the parts of himself he wished to disown but had not eliminated.
Parts of himself that he wished to disown but had not yet eliminated. So then now with him coming into, you know, real world, because he was, you know, cooped up in his own bubble, right, his own realities, stepping up into the real world, aka getting, you know, this girl that he ended up, you know, getting busy with or whatever, a very young girl too, you know what I'm saying, to add on to that really dark shit, right? That was his attempt at getting out and seeing how the real world works, you know, with this sort of bro, hold on,
container for the parts of himself he wished to disown but had not eliminated.
Parts of himself he wished to disown, but you know what, bro, fuck it. I mean, you keep on blacking out on me anyway. Like, it's useless just trying to explain some shit to you. But anyway, for the ones that are just joining